open arms. What a beautiful way to welcome spring with open arms. Yesterday, we honored the spring equinox, the official start of spring, and we continue to celebrate in this good time, the good that life has to offer to us. And my little notices today from my newly found on-site calendar, calendar.com. Several things are happening today. Today is World Poetry Day. It is World Down Syndrome Day. It is International Day of Forest. It is the National Day of Common Courtesy. It is National Fragrance Day. It is Natural French Bread Day. Well, I expand this to every day is National French Bread Day for me. And it is also World Puppetry Day. And so we're continuing with our theme for this month, which is related to the practice of spiritual visioning. Spiritual visioning opens us up to the highest idea that God has for our lives. We tap into the realm of possibilities much greater than what we can ever begin to imagine for ourselves. This is the power and the magic, if you will, of visioning. We go within and seek guidance for our soul's connection to the divine by asking questions and listening for answers. And the first two Sundays, we explored the first two questions that are asked in visioning, and that is, what is God's highest vision of itself expressing as me? Or another way of saying that is, what is God's highest vision for my life? And we listen inwardly for the answer to that. And then as we continue through the listening process, we ask the next question, what must I release? What must I release to embody the highest vision that God has for my life? Knowing that the universe abhors a vacuum, there are things that block the vision. And we ask for those to be revealed so that they can be released and we can create that opening. And that leads us into today's discussion, which is the third question we ask in visioning. What must I embrace, embody, and be or become to live in alignment with the vision? All of this is about bringing us into alignment with the true nature of our being, the true nature of ourself. And so embracing the vision brings us into the realization of the vision. And from the evolutionary vision of our CSL Global Vision Statement for today, we state, we see a world in which every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God, connection with each other, a world which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. So our vision is inviting us to be called to a higher state of action, a higher state of collective consciousness, recognizing that God is the connector that holds everything together. And then the timeless wisdom of our Science of Mind teaching takes us to our statement of what we believe, and the stanza that reads, we believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. And so it is from that place of the indwelling contact with God that we know everything outpictures and manifests in our life. The spiritual practice of visioning allows us to be in that place of demonstrating changes in conditions, of recognizing that through that which is operating within us, that we can change conditions in our lives. And so I'm going to attempt to do a little experiment this morning, if you're willing to play along with me. I want to do a screen share and illustrate, where is it? Here it is. In our teaching, we identify what is known as the creative process. And I'm going to use our Science of Mind teaching symbol, which I've highlighted on the screen. And that is a circle with what appears to be a V in the middle, and there are three parts to it. The outer part of the circle, this is just a quick overview. This is our teaching symbol. The outer part of the circle represents infinity. It represents this idea that we embody in our teaching, is that God is absolutely all there is. There's not a spot where God is not, is another way that we say this. And there are three parts to the circle. The top part represents the spirit or God. That is where the ideas are planted into the consciousness, where we open to what is God's highest vision. And then the middle part of the circle is the soul. That is the fertile place where those seeds of consciousness are planted. And the bottom part of the circle represents the body, or the demonstration of what manifests in our lives. And the way we teach this to the young people in junior church is that the top part is the seed, the middle is the soil, and the bottom part is the plant. And then you will see this, I don't want to do that. What appears to be a bee, some way refer to it as an arrow or a funnel that is descending through all parts of the nature and of spirit, body, and soul. And so it is through visioning that we activate this creative process where the spirit, that fertile, that place of consciousness, where the spirit takes the thought and the idea that we have and plants it into this fertile soil, where it is nurtured and nourished, and then it outpictures as form in our lives. And so this brings us then to the continuation of our discussion. Visioning uses the creative process. Sorry, I have a little arrow that popped up on my screen. We're having some technology opportunities for spring. Visioning uses the creative process to embrace a new way of being, and we embody this new way of being that is personal transformation in our lives. Now, the key here to remember is that we do not manifest the vision. The creative process involves manifesting that which we have planted into the fertile soil and shows up in our lives. Visioning, we do not manifest the vision. Rather, we attune and align ourselves with what is with the vision. We attune and align ourselves with it, and it becomes the avenue through which it reveals as our lived experiences. And this is sounding a little bit convoluted. Envisioning, the whole process of visioning is to align ourselves with what is already within us, so that we become the vehicle or the vessel through which the vision reveals itself through our lived experiences. We live the vision. This is the goal. And so I offer some illustrations for us this morning of embracing, embodying, and becoming. Embracing is an act of receptivity, and it implies a level of enthusiasm. And the image just popped into my mind of a dog, a puppy, or even an adult dog. When we have been out of their sight, out of their mind for a while, we've been away for a while, and we come back, and they're just happy to see us. You know, they greet us with enthusiasm. And we receive that enthusiasm. And the visioning process works in a similar way. We cannot have an experience that we're not willing to receive. And so, in asking this question, what must I embrace in the visioning process? What reveals itself is possibilities that I be open to and receptive to that which brings me into a greater alignment with the vision. It also opens us up to ideas that we invite into our consciousness. And it also identifies changes that I can wrap my arms around and hold lovingly and nurture from my growth. But remember, again, we're calling forward that which is already in us. Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith says this in Life Visioning: by asking what qualities we must cultivate in support of the vision, we come into direct contact with our growing edge. And this is what I offer this morning, is that the goal of not only visioning, but the goal of all of our spiritual practices is to bring us into a direct contact with our growing edge. Ernest Holmes reminds us that we live a life of expansion. He says the spiral of life is upward. We are forever expanding. And let's look at what it means to embody. To embody something is to go beyond the mental, intellectual knowledge of it into a heartfelt understanding of it. And this is why we ask in the visioning processes, as we are setting the intention to begin the process, we invite participants to take that deep breath and relax the body, relaxing deep into that place of receptivity, which allows us to move from the head, that very short distance from the head to the heart. So again, in visioning, we are shifting from the mental or intellectual knowledge of what it is that we may be visioning for. And we're moving into that heart space where we know that something deeply emerges and becomes assimilated into consciousness. And it moves us into that place. I remember the old people when I was growing up, the old people would be talking about their faith and their life experiences and the challenges that they had overcome. And in their faith, identifying their faith, they would say, baby, I know that I know that I know. And I've learned to experience that, to recognize that in my own life, where it is my faith in something, my awareness of something is so unshakable that I can truly say, I know that I know that I know. And this is what the embodiment aspect of visioning takes us to, is that assimilation of the alignment with God's idea for our life that takes us to that place to say, I know that I know that I know that God's purpose for my life is much higher, much bigger than anything that I can imagine on my own. Ernest Holmes offers this in our Science of Mind textbook. We should take the highest thought we have and attempt to enlarge on this consciousness until it embraces a more vital concept of reality. Consciousness, in this sense, means an inner embodiment of ideas. Again, we're often reminded that the inner embodiment of the ideas of the Christ consciousness of our growing edge is what brings us into alignment with the true essence of who we are. And the third illustration I offer is becoming. Becoming, which is an act of allowing that which we already are to come forth. You see the pattern here? We are allowing, we are embodying, we are embracing, we are inviting that which is within to come forth. When we ask the visioning question, what must I be or become? We are really asking, what divine quality or qualities within me am I being called to remember as my truth, the true essence of who I am? Being the truth, we come to the vision because we are in complete alignment with it. First, we be, then we become, and then the vision pulls us to it. And there's an expression some of you may have heard that we can either be pushed by pain or pulled by vision. And I remember the first time that I really recall hearing this statement. I was in ministerial school, and one of my classmates was sharing an experience, a life experience that they were going through. And it was one of those experiences that was creating pain for them in their lives. And as they were describing the experience, we all could feel a shift in the tone of the conversation. And even my classmate recognized that just by talking this out, by consciously being aware of the shift that is taking place, I'm moving from being pushed by pain into being pulled by vision. Pulled by vision is being pulled to the greater calling on our life, being called to remember the true essence of who we are. Ray Jordan, who is the founder of the Higher Vision Institute, writes this: "Envisioning, we are not trying to make something happen. We're asking, what must we embrace in consciousness in order to become the vision waiting to happen through us?" We're asking, what must we embrace in consciousness in order to become the vision that is waiting to happen through us? And so to sum this up, again, we do not manifest the vision. And why? Because it already is. We release and let go of the obstacles that we have placed in its way. And those obstacles are those life experiences. Some of us may have had these meditation experiences or these periods of contemplation where we recognize something that is buried deep within is coming to the surface to be revealed and coming to the surface to be healed. And we may say, I thought I had dealt with that. I know that's been my experience. There's some challenges that I thought that I had dealt with. I prayed about them. I journaled about them. I've had practitioner sessions about them. I've spoken with close confidence about them. And yet a period of time will go by and then something else will emerge. Something else will emerge that just reminds me of the obstacles that I placed in the way of embracing a new idea or embracing and embodying a new belief that has prevented me from becoming which I already am. And so this is what our visioning practice invites us to do. Again, we do not manifest the vision. It merely calls forth that which already is. The vision is our transformation, and it brings us into a place of realization. The possibilities in our lives are infinite. It starts with an embrace. And I offer this question to you this morning. What will you embrace with open arms today? Just begin today. It's not a long-range plan. We take baby steps. It's like the illustration or the question that we often ask: how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And so in our transformation, in coming to a realization, I ask, what will you welcome into your experience today? And so our call to action, and I've asked our tech team to put this into the chat for us and also into the comments section in our Facebook Live. Our call to action this morning and our questions are, and I have to go to the chat now because I'm not finding them in my notes. Here we are. What acts am I willing to embrace that opens me to a greater possibility? What acts am I willing to embrace that opens me to greater possibilities? What heartfelt beliefs will I embody in my life today and forward? What heartfelt beliefs will I embody in my life today and forward. And what transformation is required for me to be the avenue through which truth expresses? What transformation, what awareness, what new ideas are required of me to be the avenue through which the truth expresses in my life? Again, remembering the vision already is. And so let us pray together this morning. In the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, are these words from the prophet Habakkuk, chapter 2, verses 2 and 3. And the prophet writes, "Write down this vision and clearly inscribe it on tablets, so that a herald may run with it. For the vision awaits an appointed time. It testifies to the end and does not lie. Though it lingers, wait for it, since it will surely come and will not delay." And in our prayer this morning, we lift our sisters and brothers in the Asian community, in Atlanta and in other places, along with all people who are being targeted by threats and acts of violence. We remember the oneness of all life, and we know that peace prevails. And in knowing that peace prevails, I know that this is just another aspect of this infinite intelligence, this creative energy that I call God, the one life, the one source, the one power that is absolutely all that there is. Recognizing that I am one with the source, I am one with this presence and this power. I am one with this idea that is operating for the highest good in the entire planet. And as I know this truth for myself, I know it for each one that is a part of this experience this Sunday. From this place known as the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living, a non-local global community of loving hearts, of inspired individuals, of truth seekers and truth knowers, vision casters, vision revealers, knowing that the truth of God is everywhere present. And as we experience and tune into or bring our awareness to the current day events, we are not absorbed by those events. We take them as our prayer request. And we lift those circumstances into a higher light. We bring them into a higher vision, a higher vibration, knowing that the love of God is everywhere. It is expressing itself everywhere. And while I, as an individual, cannot be everywhere in this physical form, I know that the collective consciousness that I join with other truth seekers and truth knowers in all faith traditions, expand this conscious awareness of the truth that we are one in spirit. We are one and we walk in the love of God. And in walking in that love of God, I know that the Spirit reveals the action that we are to take. In our practices, we ask, what is mine to know, what is mine to be, and what is mine to do? And then we act in accordance with the gifts that are revealed through us and as us. I bless communities that are gathering on their path of knowing the very essence of spirit. I know that as truth is revealed, that there is a healing that is taking place. I call forth this morning the memory of a colleague, a classmate, a friend and confidant, Reverend Jeff Anderson, who was the senior minister of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. Reverend Jeff made his transition on Friday. And so we lift the family of Reverend Jeff Anderson, and we lift our sister community, the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, into that light of awareness that This time of sadness, the time where we are missing the absence of the physical body. And yet it is also a time of celebration because we now know that our friend, Jeff, is non-local, is truly non-local. And we have access to that infinite intelligence, that infinite wisdom that expresses itself continually as Reverend Jeff. And I pray for individuals and families who are experiencing transitions in their own lives, the transitions of family members, the transition of a loved one, the transition into right livelihood, the transition from one experience that can be identified as painful that leads into another experience that is called forth by vision, knowing that absolutely everything is always working out in divine, right, and perfect order. And for the prayer requests that remain in the hearts of each individual, I know that the answer for spirit is always yes. It is yes and amen. So in gratitude for this time together, in gratitude for this marvelous life, in gratitude for the vision that continues to manifest itself, I release this word into the law, which always says yes, in confidence and in knowing. I just let it be so. And so it is. Thank you and good morning. And now it is our time to participate in the law of circulation. And again, I thank you on behalf of our community, on behalf of our Board of Trustees, on behalf of our financial team. I thank you for your generosity, the way that you support the spiritual community that allows us to continue to expand our technology and to include and embrace others in this process. And so we share together now our affirmation of abundance. I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. I release this visible supply, an outer symbol of my inner supply, into the physical world. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And the ways to support the center are available on our screen. You may donate to the center by mailing in your donation. You may also submit your donation through our secure website, and you may also text your gift. Here we are. Our mailing address is 400 West Franklin Street, Monterey, California, 93940. Our website, montereycsl.org. This is a secure website. Or you may text to give 831-246-9694. And so again, we say thank you to our Facebook Live community and to our friends that will be joining us via YouTube. And if you have not yet liked our YouTube channel, please do so. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can get the number of followers, number of subscribers. I'll get these words correct at some point. Thank you to the tech team for keeping me on my toes. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we receive the number of subscriptions that allow us to advance and improve on that technology. And so to our Facebook community, we invite you to join us next week, where we continue our theme of open to possibilities. And the topic is commitment to transformation.